Hey, welcome. Today we are diving deep into the science of energy. We're going to look at what it actually is, where our bodies get it from, and, whether a supplement can really, truly give you more of it. Let's get right into it. You know that feeling, right? You got a decent night's sleep, maybe you've had your coffee, but you are still just dragging. It's that kind of fatigue that just seems to pop up out of nowhere. It is one of the most common complaints people have, and it turns out the answer is a whole lot more complex than just, getting more sleep. So, to really get to the bottom of this, we first need to tackle what's called the energy paradox. See, there's this huge gap between how we feel energy and what is actually going on inside our bodies on a microscopic cellular level. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. On one hand, you have the public view of energy, right? It's a feeling. It's stamina, vitality, the oomph you need to get through your day. But then you look at the scientific view, and from a nutrition science perspective, energy isn't a feeling at all. It's pure chemical energy, measured in calories, that we pull from our food to power literally everything our body does. So where does all this chemical energy go? This is fascinating. Even when you're just sitting here doing nothing, your body is burning through fuel. And get this, your brain, which is only about 2% of your body weight, eats up a whopping 20% of your total energy. That is the exact same amount as all of your skeletal muscles combined when you're at rest. The big takeaway here? Your brain is always on, and it is always hungry for energy. To really understand this super energy-hungry system, we need to zoom in. I mean, way, way in, down to the cellular level. I want you to start thinking of your body like a massive city, and every single one of your cells is its own tiny, bustling power plant. And the fuel for these little power plants? That's the food you eat, all the carbs, fats, and proteins. And the output, the actual electricity that powers the entire city, is a special molecule called adenosine triphosphate, or just ATP. ATP is the universal energy currency of life. Everything you do, from blinking your eyes to thinking a thought, is paid for with ATP. And this slide right here shows where all the magic happens. Now, I know this diagram looks incredibly complicated, and hey, it is, but this whole process takes place inside the mitochondria, which are basically the engine rooms of your cells. Food gets broken down, it enters all these different chemical reactions, but the bottom line is this. It's like a molecular assembly line that rips electrons off of food molecules to create that absolutely vital ATP. But that assembly line can't run on its own. It needs a crew. It needs workers. And those workers? They're the vitamins and minerals you see right here. B vitamins are involved in almost every single step of the process. Iron is a key player in the final stage of energy production. Magnesium actually helps activate the ATP once it's made so the cell can use it. And vitamin C? It's like the transport worker, shuttling fats into the power plant so they can be burned for fuel. If you have a shortage of any of these workers, the whole factory just slows right down. Okay, so we've made the fuel. But a power plant is pretty useless if you don't have an oxygen pipeline to help burn that fuel efficiently. The exact same thing is true for your body. Getting oxygen to your muscles and to your brain is every bit as important as creating the energy in the first place. And this is where the idea of anemia becomes so important. Anemia isn't just about being low on iron. It's a condition where your blood's ability to carry oxygen is seriously impaired. And what's the number one symptom? You probably guessed it, fatigue and weakness. Because if your cells can't get enough oxygen, they just can't efficiently burn fuel to make that precious ATP. And this just illustrates that whole supply chain beautifully. Step 1, your body needs iron, vitamin B9, and vitamin B12 to build hemoglobin. That's the protein that actually grabs onto oxygen. Step 2, these proteins get packed into your red blood cells, they grab oxygen from your lungs, and step 3, they deliver that oxygen all over your body. If you interrupt any of these steps, your performance, both physical and mental, is going to take a serious hit. So, with that whole scientific foundation in our back pocket, let's look at a real-world example. There's a ton of buzz around supplements for energy and performance, so we're going to take a close look at one that's been studied specifically for this, an herb called ashwagandha. So, let's check out the evidence. A recent major review and meta-analysis, that's a study of studies, published in the Turkish Journal of Sports Medicine, looked at all the available research, and their conclusion was pretty clear. Compared to a placebo, ashwagandha seemed to be effective in enhancing sports performance. Okay, but what does that actually mean? Let's dig into the how. The review looked at studies on athletes in all kinds of sports. The typical setup involved them taking 300 to 500 milligrams of the root extract twice a day for about 2 to 3 months. So we're talking about consistent daily use here, not just popping a pill right before a workout. And here it is. This is the headline number. The main finding from this huge analysis was that athletes taking ashwagandha saw their VO2 max increase by an average of 4.09 milliliters per minute per kilogram of body weight, more than the group taking a placebo. That is a statistically significant improvement. But what exactly is VO2 max? VO2 max is basically the size of your engine. It is the single best measurement we have of your cardiorespiratory fitness. A higher VO2 max means your body is just plain better at taking in oxygen from the air and delivering it to your working muscles. So in short, this research suggests ashwagandha might actually help athletes make their engines bigger and more efficient. Now, that sounds pretty impressive. And you know what? It is. But as always, we need to look at the full picture here. The science is definitely promising, but it comes with some really important caveats we need to talk about. I really like this slide because it gives us that crucial balance. On the left, you see the clear benefits they found in the studies, that increased VO2 max, better strength, even enhanced recovery. But on the right, the context is absolutely key. All of the studies were done on South Asian athletes in India, so we have no idea if these results would apply to other ethnic groups. None of the participants were world-class, elite athletes, and this one is critical. Only a quarter of the studies they looked at were even deemed high quality. So what's the takeaway here? Well, the researchers themselves offer these practical recommendations. First and foremost, talk to a doctor if you do decide to try it. It might be most effective when you sync it up with really intense training blocks. But please remember, a supplement is just that, a supplement. It has to be combined with a solid, nutrient-rich diet. It is not a magic bullet. And that really brings us right back to our final big picture question. The research on ashwagandha is compelling, for sure, but it also pulls us back to where we started. Is the ultimate secret to having more energy and better performance really found in a single herb? Or does it lie in making sure that your entire system, that incredibly complex, beautiful power plant inside every one of your cells, has all the essential workers like B vitamins, iron, and magnesium that it needs to run at its absolute best? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us.